Perhaps the greatest advantage to being a NEET is just the sheer amount of time you're able to get in isolation. The thing is that I use the word isolation when I refer to NEETdom so much in these videos because the typical NEET isn't necessarily one who wanders about the world. I've seen so many NEETs online being akin to shut-ins or even hikikomori. In fact, oftentimes the ones who identify themselves as NEETs can't usually even be discerned from the hikikomori. And I believe as NEETs, what many of us need to do is realize that the world outside is interesting and it is grand. Like, the fact that there's so many things going on in the world and the fact that you have so much time just gives you more of a reason to explore it. Like, I view NEET as the ideal life because having a job actively holds me down from being able to achieve many of the goals that I seek in real life. It's not because I want to stay in complete isolation as I did when I was a hikikomori. Sure, I enjoyed my time as a hiki because the things that I was focused on then was being in my room on my computer studying things that needed to be studied on the computer, or making videos that could only be made when I was in isolation. But there was a time after that point when I realized there are things that I also want to do in the real world, and I need to be able to get over my paranoia, and I need to be able to step out of hiki and get those things done. So at this point, I'm just a NEET. I'm not any kind of big scale, wage cuck all over the place, like it's not that. I mean, I'm gonna get a job eventually, but being a NEET just makes things so much easier when it comes to your goals because you have all of this time throughout the day, more time than anyone else in the world. And I mean, those people, they're able to get a lot of shit done even when you have a job. So imagine the amount of shit you can get done not having a job, So for me, I see it as a great advantage. The amount of time that you're able to have when you don't have a job is huge. So, like, that's the thing that you want to strive to utilize when you're at this point in your life. You don't want to let that go to waste because you can't get it back. And I mean, I've made all these points about how, time doesn't really matter, how what you do in this life doesn't really matter as long as you enjoy yourself, but there are certain goals that you might want to get to, and you gotta use that time when you're unemployed to do that shit. Like, you don't need to get a job immediately. No one needs to get a job immediately unless there's something that they really want to pay for. Oftentimes, it's better for a lot of people to spend a few years working on their talents while they don't have a job so they can eventually utilize those talents in a monetary way and then end up with a job that they really love. There's a lot of benefits to NEETdom, a lot of benefits. And I don't think people should just let those go to waste and get a job immediately when they don't necessarily have to. Now, what I'm not advocating for people to leech for a long amount of time. Obviously, I think it's wrong for you to remain with your family if your family really needs you to get a job. But, if you're young and you don't have to yet, then there's no reason to do it. Like, unless you just really need that money for disposable income. Which, I mean, for some people, they get a part-time job and then they take that money that they earn from the part-time job and then they go and do travel, But if you're not doing that, then I don't really see a reason. There's a lot of things you can do with this time, and basically the message of this video, what I'm trying to get to you here is don't waste it.